Well, I don't know what happened, but a lot of stuff is missing, including our show open. I have no idea what
We,
happened to everything, but it is gone.
we might have overloaded it at the Gov Cup with all the videos
I
we did.
don't
So.
know. I think it's absolutely possible. I don't even know if I can find it at the drop of a hat here, and I don't want to waste a whole lot of time doing it. But I'm like, really, what in the world? I looked down and went, hey, wait a minute. Our banner's gone, and all of a sudden I'm noticing that yeah, everything is missing. So I I have no idea. All of a sudden, there it is. It's gone. So we're um, we're probably not going to have that fancy little deal behind us. Maybe I can find it as we're
Well, you know
talking and
what?
get through
I don't
things.
think anybody's going to care what we
Nope.
have behind us with the guys we're going to bring in next. The next two guys, they've worked a long time for this, and they finally pulled off their championship win at the Governor's Cup. And so I don't think anybody's gonna be looking at the background. Anybody's gonna be looking at that,
No.
listen to anything. I think they're gonna be really wanting to hear what these two gentlemen have to say.
Right.
So we might as well just bring them in and get this underway, man.
Yeah, let's do it.
Chris, Ben, how are you guys doing?
Good.
Doing well.
Good. Thanks for having us. Speaking of background, we stuck something in the back there for you.
Yeah,
That's
I
a-
love
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
that is fantastic. Yeah, and I just feel bad because you guys didn't get to see me set the hook and do the whole 9 yards. Maybe next time. So congratulations to you. This is a big opportunity to get your 15 minutes or maybe even 30 minutes of fame here. Besides the fact that you had the time on the stage, it's really fun to be able to bring you guys in and talk to you about the weekend and the win at the 49th annual Governor's Cup. So I don't even know where to start because there are a million stories. I guess the first question that kind of pops into my mind really is holding up that trophy. And Chris, this just happens to be a picture of you that showed up. That's big time excitement there.
Yeah, it's real. When she handed me the trophy, I said, "Is it heavy?" And she said, "No, it's not heavy." And I said, "No, it's really heavy." It was something you wait for so long. It's a big moment. It's exactly how I thought it was going to feel.
It really okay. So you had that. Was it a little bit surreal or?
Yeah, definitely. I think when Kurt made the call, we knew that the weights were going to be extremely tight. And in fact, Ben and I, we were idling in the bay, and we heard new leaders at 39.55. I looked at Ben and said, "We don't have enough." I mean, we were thinking we had 16.5 and we needed 16.6. And so we were preparing ourselves to be short. And so when Kurt called 17 pounds, honestly, I kind of just went numb. I don't really remember much after that.
Yeah,
I was trying to talk to you in that moment, and you said, "I don't got much."
Yeah.
No, and I didn't either. I was just in shock. I'm like, oh my gosh, we got over 17. Oh
Yeah.
my word.
There
you
is
guys
that.
have been there leading day one at several tournaments, and to just not, or day one, Chris, you led day one and day two, the NTC last year. And, that tournament, let's go back to that because there's one thing about you guys. You're very calculated. You're very into it, and you know what you got to have. And then NTC tournament, you threw back how many overs because you knew.
Yeah, and if I think Tyson and Dewey wouldn't have been in that tournament, maybe the decisions were different. But we knew that we probably needed 21 pounds on two fish, and 30 minutes in, we had an 8.5 pound walleye, and it was no question. We're not getting to 21 pounds with an 8 pound walleye, and it went back right away. And so I think the rest of the day we threw, I don't remember exactly, but we threw 6 or 7 overs back on Lake Oahe, which there aren't many tournaments that you're willing to do that. But that particular one, and Ben and I had the same discussion on Gov Cup. We said, look, if we have an opportunity to win, we're not like we'll come in short before we'll keep something that's not going to win.
I mean, we kind of had the similar situation at the MWC as well last year, leading at day one there too. And again, going against the big sticks like Tyson and, Traver and Polly and those guys. And we thought we needed another 20 pound bag again that day. And yeah, we were throwing back 6-7 pounders, hoping for 10s. So
That's got to be nerve wracking. That just absolutely just just scares me. But do you get used to it?
You do. And I mean, and it's they're like Kurt said, they're calculated risks, right? You know which overs you're catching in practice. And Ben and I put a Facebook post out today and talked about the last over that we kept on Sunday was at 2:00, was a really difficult decision. That was a 6.5 pound over at 2:00. We had an hour and 20 minutes really to go until we had to be in for our 3:30 check-in time. And we went back and forth and we both said, I don't know if it's going to be enough, and I just said, well, Ben, we've got to listen to our pre-fish. And we only caught a handful of 30 inchers in practice. And so to think that you're going to get one with an hour to go, we had to just say that that's going to have to be good enough. So we made the tough decision. We kept it. We put the boat in gear. And before we even took off, I looked over at Ben and go, I think we just lost the Governor's Cup.
I was like, I don't think we have it either. It was kind of funny when we tagged that fish. It was almost roles reversed with Chris and I, because Chris, usually I'm the one saying, I think we should keep it. Yeah. And this time I'm like, it's not enough. And I think we need to throw it back. And Chris is like, I've got a gut feeling we need to keep it. I'm like, I don't know.
Well, just too many tournaments in a row throwing overs back. Eventually you're going to throw back the winning fish. Which we would have if we would have tossed that one back.
So close. You hear stories. Dewey tells stories, and John Hoyer tells stories about throwing the one back that could have won it. And I guess it comes down to confidence. You guys obviously have confidence in your system or your program and what you're doing. And like you said, you did things differently this time. Do you mind sharing a little bit about what you did different? You don't have to do. I know Benny loves to ask those great questions about, where were you? How deep were you? Actually, what I really want to know is, do you guys know Benny's address, and do you know where he hides the key, and is there beer in his fridge?
Yeah, well, actually, Benny and I's kids go to the same daycare, so I get to see Benny outside of Benny Spies. So, yeah, we know a little bit more about it. But, yeah, I mean, we'll share a little bit. So I don't know if this is exactly why this Governor's Cup went different, but Ben and I got a very expensive education at the NWT in Pickstown about glide baits, about high pressure areas, what to do with them, and what you can't get away with around a lot of anglers. So our entire practice, we focused on doing something different in different areas. And ultimately that's ended up what we did for the tournament. We had to put some of our favorite things aside, prepare differently, be very careful what we used, where we used it, how much boat traffic was around. Just because, our experience down there a couple of weeks ago, I think I had told Ben before the tournament, I said, I'm going to go down there and I'm going to jig. And if it's set up for me, I'm going to do really well. And if it's not, I'm not going to do very well. Well, guess what? There was a lot of pressure on the same stuff of everybody jigging, not unlike the Governor's Cup this year. And it didn't go very well. So Ben and I focused on preparing different techniques, different baits, using them differently. And I think ultimately that changed the outcome of this Governor's Cup. So not that you wouldn't have liked it done well in the NWT, but honestly, I would more than happily trade an MWC for a Governor's Cup.
Oh, that's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
Kurt, you got to like hearing that, don't you?
Oh, I love hearing that. I mean, and that's the thing is, this is kind of the tournament where you guys, I met you guys. I mean, this is where you guys kind of started into, 5-6 years ago when you first around the scene. And I used to joke, Chris would come up to me everywhere I was at, and he'd come talk to me, and I'm like, we'd walk away, and I was like, who's that? And I'm like, I don't remember. Like, and I always knew who he was, but I didn't know his name. And then a couple of years ago, I started to get to know him better, and and then I started calling him Ben and Chris, and I kept calling them backwards. And then now it's, just growing with us and watching these guys grow. And we've had many talks after tournaments of, it's when it's your time, guys. Don't be upset. You'll know when it's right. And by making that gut decision to tag that last fish, like you said, it was in my gut. I knew we had to tag it. You may have second guessed yourself afterwards. Thank God you put the tag on it, because we would be sitting here with a first place trophy behind you, possibly.
That's right. Well, we joked all day with the boat marshal. He was a great kid, and he was fun to have in the boat. We said, "What do you think about it?" And he said, "I think you made the right decision." He didn't say anything all day, but then we asked him after that, and he said, I think you made the right decision.
Yeah, I think
he had no idea, but
right.
It's kind of fun.
But the proof is behind you.
Right.
I love that. I hate to say it, but we're at the 10-minute mark, and it's time for a wardrobe change. That's why everything was missing, because I spent an entire weekend doing stuff with the fishing crew and completely forgot to switch over to Hooksets. So sorry for the last minute wardrobe change there, but it went pretty smooth.
Yeah. So guys, with that, you go into the Gov Cup. What's your mindset coming into it? You guys led team of the year coming into the Gov Cup. You also won the team of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, you did really well in Chamberlain. You were second place on Sharp?
Yeah, led after the first day of Lake. Yep, led after the first day of Lake Sharp. Second day, slipped to second.
Yeah, and so what's your mindset coming into the Gov Cup when you're getting ready for this? You're preparing, other than we got to try something completely different that we learn new.
Yeah, and so I try to divide my Gov Cup time, and Ben and I fish in our own boats for practice. Really, we only fish together the day of the tournament just so we can break down water better. But I try to spend half my time fishing what I know and half my time fishing what I don't know, right? So there's still zones of the lake I feel like I'm not very good at. I feel like there's zones of the lake that it's maybe been won in the past, or the fish could be moving to, or that's setting up differently. We've got rising water this year. I mean, I spent a lot more time in creeks. I spent a lot more time shallow, just trying to do things differently than I've done in the past. And it turned out a lot of it didn't contribute, but I try to split my time 50-50 on what I already know and what I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean we're a good team, and Chris is really good at certain things, and I'm a little better at other things. And I mean, I'll go to one area and do what I'm good at, and he'll come through and maybe do it what he's good at, and then we'll compare notes and see what we need to do.
So
go ahead, Kurt.
So is your guys' tactic basically, when you're going to break this water down, you're going jigging? That you're not worrying about putting cranking rods in the boat?
No, we were. We actually, Kurt, we had a bottom bouncing program completely prepared and used it. We had a trolling program completely prepared and used it, and we had a jigging program. Now maybe I jig more in practice just because I feel like I can break down water quicker. But when we find what we want to find, let's say we get a couple quality slots, and Ben's dad's retired, so Ben may go back to that area the next day, and he may live bait through there and really figure out what's there, really fine tune what the slot potential is. And just kind of refine what the options are.
So do you guys rely on live scope or the live sonar?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we both have forward facing sonar boats, and yep.
Yeah, I mean, we'll both use it. I know when people ask me like, what kind of techniques do you guys use? I mean, they think I'm avoiding the question, but if you were to look at our boat when we came in both days,
mm-hmm.
I mean, there's everything from soup to nuts in there, and you honestly wouldn't be able to know what worked and what didn't for us. It's usually a disaster.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was 12 rods out when we came in on Saturday,
and we were pushing it to the end, of course, and so then there was a rat's nest that we had to take care of and everything. Right. So I mean, I'm not avoiding the question when people ask what we do.
I do like the frogs.
Well, that might have been a little stretch, but you wait and see. All the bass guys are going to start to be jealous because all the walleye guys are going to start using frogs and wacky worms and crushing both bass and walleyes.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's been the knowledge that I'm gleaning from talking to bass guys. I don't care if it's Austin Felix or Cliff Perch or whoever. They're catching walleye. Even the local bass guys around here. I'm going out with Casey Briggs on Sunday. And we're going to go, I guarantee we're going to go out Sunday morning and we'll catch walleye. It's just amazing, these bass tactics. And then even the live sonar, for the fact that walleye just don't live on the bottom like we thought. When I grew up as a kid in the 70s and 80s, you fished on the bottom, you fished a small hook, you fished a small jig, 6-pound mono. You had to troll slow, back troll, do all that stuff. And now it's so different. It's ridiculous.
So when you're, a guy asked me today, like how they, what are they out there doing? What are they out there looking for? Now, I don't want anything top secret, but guys like, are they, I go there, a guy from Texas messaged me and goes, how are they doing it? I said, a lot of guys are targeting them and, forward facing sonar and jig wrapping them or glide baiting them. When he goes in trees, and I'm like, not necessarily. So what are you guys looking for when you're breaking down a point or breaking, you going to Pigstown, Chris? What, never being down there because nobody's really been down there. What were you looking for going into that?
You try not to go down with a preconceived notion of what you want to do. And maybe that's more of the mistakes I made, that I wanted to be, I wanted to troll over trees, or I wanted to jig rock piles on the shoreline, whatever the case. But really, I think our focus on this one is we were not looking at anything in particular. Actually leading up to the tournament, there's a lot of flooded kochia this year. We tried fishing a lot of flooded kochia, right? Because we had rising water on Lake Hawaii. Turns out it wasn't a tournament thing. But really, we're looking for everything. I mean, 2 of the 30 inchers we caught in practice were over 50 feet deep. 2 of them were inside of 12 feet deep, and they're in the same zone of the lake. So when you're looking for things, you're really just looking for fish. Some are on trees, some are on weeds, some are on rocks. Not to be evasive, but depending on what zone of the lake you're in, they're really everywhere. And I think that's what forward-facing sonar has really taught us. They're more of a bass than what the walleye of the 90s ever thought it was.
So you're not necessarily looking for that steep break. You're not necessarily looking for that rock pile, that tree. You're looking for fish.
No, I mean, we have those steep breaks. We have that rock pile. We have all those things, but you're looking for the fish. And then when you see the fish, you try to figure out, why he's there, right? I mean, Ben and I every year we have to sit down and clear waypoints because our graphs quit functioning. And there is the waypoint that's the 4-foot cliff on the north side of the point that says northwest wind, and we're there. But, we're not necessarily saying I caught that one on a 4-foot cliff. We're going to drive around and look for 4-foot cliffs. That's you might not have that for 6 miles, right? So if fish are in an area of the lake and they're on rocks, you're fishing rocks for a while.
Well, and they're not all the same though either.
That's right.
4-foot cliff is not the same everywhere. So different habitat there, different things. So it's really interesting how you can dissect a body of water with the down imaging, side imaging, live sonar, and even 2D sonar. It's interesting just over the last couple fishing trips for me, the number of fish I see on sonar that I don't see on live, and then the number of fish I see on live because they're above the cone. So I'm not seeing them on down imaging or on sonar, but they're there on the live. So it is a great tool to get an eye on fish and find out where they're living at the moment.
Absolutely. It all has their time and place. Side scan still used, 2D still used, forward facing sonar, they all have their application.
So for the regular average fisherman, the bit of advice for them that maybe you don't have the live sonar, maybe you don't have side imaging, you have the down imaging and you have traditional sonar. What's the best advice for these people? Don't go out and just use bouncers, don't use cranks. Do other things, do unconventional things, do bass things.
And I think everybody can still go out and do what they're comfortable with, do what they want to do. But when you catch a fish, consider why you caught the fish, where he's at, how you caught it, and try to put 2 and 2 together because it all means something, right? Even if you have just straight conventional 2D sonar, 2D sonar still contributed to our tournament win. There was times, like we said, after day 1, we came in with 5 gallons left in the boat, and there was probably an hour and a half period there. We were doing nothing but 2D sonar, moving very quickly. We were not putting poles down and looking at forward-facing sonar. We were trying to digest as much water as possible because plan A and B was blank. So,
wow.
You can scan for fish very quickly with 2D sonar, drive up and down the point, see what's there for life. If you don't see what you need to see, you need to move on.
So getting into reading your graphs and stuff, I hear all the time that, this guy can tell how big that fish is. How are you doing that? Can you do that too? Like, I know that's a bigger one. I'm going to cast it a big. What are you seeing on that without giving any top secret? What are you seeing?
It's just, it's scaling. I mean, and you spend enough hours on them, you can tell what's a bass, you can tell what's a carp, you can tell what's a pike. Definitely. I mean, you definitely know what's a pike, but we definitely did that on Sunday. We had our slot tags filled. There was a point where we stopped fishing for everything and only were looking for overs.
A lot of it's just time behind the screen. I mean, the more time you spend looking, the more time you'll figure it out. So
My episode on In Through the Outdoors, coincidentally, is exactly that. It's called OIC. And basically, in my story, and I'll make it quick, it goes back to my building partner, Ron Nelson, who had kids that showed cattle. And he taught me how to differentiate 6 heifers in a ring and pick a grand champion. You look at 6 heifers, they all look the same, but they all look different if you learn to discern the difference between them.
Right.
And for me, it ended up being that way on live sonar. I explain how I can identify a walleye and a bass versus crappie and carp, because they do look different if you don't read between the lines, basically, is how it ended the deal. You've got to look at the lines, because the lines, when you first look at them, are all basically the same.
Mm-hmm.
Until you get the screen time and you get a chance to differentiate. And there is that bingo moment. When did you guys have that bingo moment where you went, wait a minute, got this thing figured out? These marks are not all the same.
Yeah, I mean, that was probably 2 years ago.
Yeah, a couple years ago we started being able to differentiate between like
when it really got good.
Yeah,
when
like
it really
little
got
slots, decent slots, and then big overs. Like, okay, yeah, that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, it's really not till you see something different and then you catch it and you said, oh, that was clearly different.
Yeah,
that's a 30-inch walleye. This is what they look like. I'm not stopping till I see that again.
So we've got people probably watching, or maybe they'll watch later, who are on the fence. Should I spend the $1,500? Should I spend the $3,000? What's your advice? Spend it or save it?
I've learned more about fish science in the last 18 months than probably, my 5 years of fishing before that, just due to the technology. Now, it's kind of interesting. Some people think the technology is going to take fishing back, but the fish will adapt, the fishermen adapt, the weights just get higher, tournaments continue to get harder. It'll just keep going and going forever. I mean, I'm sure people remember when the first crankbait was created for fish, and everybody said these things catch everything. And Shad Raps aren't used very much anymore, right?
Yeah, and that's
right.
I was going to ask that question earlier. Like, jig and wraps were the secret for a while, then all of a sudden now they're the hot bait, and but the fish are getting used to them. Forward-facing sonar, you can hear people talk about the ping, and like Gussie at the Classic, he told other guys to turn their graphs off watching him because his fish are reacting different. So them fish, they're going to adapt. They're going to figure this stuff out. They have for years. That's why they live for so long. What do you think is the next thing in bait wise that's going to, you got any new things you're thinking, or you're doing something? I don't want any secrets, but
yeah, no. And we found some things, right? I mean, I've got boxes and boxes and boxes of the basement of stuff that we've bought and tried. Right. I mean, Ben will pull something out and be like, what is that? Where did you get that from?
Who knows what country it came from.
Right. And we haven't exactly found the next jigging wrap yet. We found some things that are very close that are working well, but I don't know what the next thing is, Kurt. But when it happens, there'll be a wave of tournament wins for particular people that get it figured out. And then it'll take everyone else a year or two to catch up. Just like, a couple of years ago, if you just had to be using a glide bait and you were doing well, and then people started to catch up, and then you had to be using forward-facing sonar and a glide bait, and then you were doing really well, and then the gap starts closing, right? I don't know what the next thing is, but whoever gets it first will get a couple of years of success with it, and then everybody else will catch up. There it is. I didn't want you to show that, Jason.
Yeah, doggone it anyway. Look at that hook system. I think this comes from Japan, honestly. I had a friend that went over there and brought some really crazy stuff. And this actually, I keep it in my Billy the Bass mouth because I'll never use this. And then I suppose I'll find out 2 years from now that everybody's using these things and winning tournaments on them,
Right.
It's pretty crazy. So let me ask you about color. Yeah, and I don't want you to get specific about color. I'm a pink guy. I love pink. I love fishing with pink and white. And it's usually mostly what I fish with. But does color matter to you guys that much?
Yeah, for sure. And we don't, like you said, you're a big pink guy. I'm not really a big anything guy. I mean, you actually try to resist those things. You have your favorites and your confidence baits, but we said it in the newspaper article. Ben and I had a bait we really believed in. That wildfire smoke rolled in Saturday morning. It was done. Yeah, we didn't have bright skies. You didn't. We had northwest wind the day before the tournament. The water dirtied up just a little bit. We knew very quickly that what we had prepared was not going to be the bait that day.
Yeah, the science behind it is truly amazing. I'm actually working on something right now where you've got guys in a boat. So one of you is on the left-hand side, one of you is on the right-hand side. And you ever notice how one guy's always catching the fish? Yeah, there's always one guy. Well, you think about a bait like this one with the blue, a little chartreuse and white on it. Now on the backside, in 20 feet of water, it's not that color. It's actually just a black silhouette. So who's catching the fish? What side is the sun or the light shining on? And that is my next thing. I'm really trying to figure that out. Does it really matter? Is it the color side that's catching fish, or is it the silhouetted side that's catching fish? And I don't know if I'm, just a little bit crazy, but I love the science behind all this stuff.
Yeah. We don't do a lot of science. We keep trying different things until it works, and that's what we use.
Well, that's what you guys are tournament fishermen, and you win tournaments, and I'm just a guy that likes to fiddle around and have fun and talk to you guys. I got to make another wardrobe change because I have all the fun stuff on the fishing crew side, and I'm not going to blow it off just to blow it off because we're bouncing back and forth. But you guys caught quite a few really nice fish, and won you the tournament. You just have a blast. You end up on stage. Tell us about the family here, Chris.
Yeah, so that's my wife and two girls. They're very, very patient with tournament fishing. And Kurt actually, Kurt knows the story is completely true. That NTC last year, my wife actually got me into the NTC because she had caught the big fish in the Pike Havens couples tournament, which was a qualify. There you go. You had that ready. Yeah. She thanks you, right? But through that win, we get qualified for the NTC, and the rest of the tournament goes really pretty well. But yeah, that tournament's coming up in 2 weeks. She's really excited. It's one of our favorite ones of the year just because she gets to do it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like that husband-wife thing. I think that's really a neat deal when a couple can enjoy fishing and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think she'd like to get out more, but somebody's got to take care of the kids.
So let me ask you guys this. You guys are, kind of rookies. You're only about 5 years into this. What do you got for some of these younger kids? What would you suggest to some of these younger kids that are looking at getting into this? You guys had a young boat rider in your boat this weekend. What would you suggest to these guys that are just trying to get into this sport and, maybe not get discouraged? I mean, you've been so close so many times.
Yeah, there was an epiphany moment for Ben and I 2 years ago. We had a really bad Governor's Cup, had a bad day one, actually, about had a breakup. Yep. And we looked at each other and we just said, there's everything in this boat to win any tournament on Lake Oahe. There's nothing we can buy. There's nothing we can do that's going to make this go any better. So it's not about sparkly boats. It's not about huge electronics. It really is you versus the lake. That's my advice. Just forget the noise, go fishing, think about what's happening. There aren't a lot of things that can help you do well in tournament fishing other than fishing.
Yeah, just keep grinding, keep your head down. Like Chris said, I about gave up a couple times, but yeah, Chris talked me off the cliff.
Yeah.
But yeah, just keep going, keep grinding, keep trying, and eventually you put the time in, it'll come.
Do you keep focused? Do you tell jokes? Do you laugh? What's the key there for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we used to not. When we were probably, I guess, immature when we started fishing tournaments, it used to be really stressful, and we'd spin out, start doing things that we didn't have planned. But it's really lighthearted now. I can remember a couple of years ago looking down and saying, "Oh my goodness, it's 1 o'clock already." And Sunday when we won the Gov Cup, we had tossed a couple overs back, and I said, "Ben, what time is it?" He goes, 9 o'clock. I go,
we're good.
Yeah, we got
all day yet.
We got 6 hours left. Yeah. And it's just for whatever reason 2 years ago something changed. The days completely slowed down. we joke, we eat lunch in the boat. It's not till we're moving between spots, but we grab a sandwich, we eat, between spots. And something changed. I don't know exactly what it was, but the day is completely slowed down. It feels like we've got plenty of time. Decisions come so much easier. We joke.
We just know that. Even if it's 2:30 and we got to be in at 3, it can happen quick. Just keep going. There you can make 2 casts in a row and have 230 inchers. So it can happen in a split second.
And fishing is so mental. What people don't think, they think, you just go out and put your line in the water and catch fish, and and do these things. It's such a mental game, and finding a good partner. You don't know how many guys I've counseled over the years of my being a tournament director. They struggle, and they can't find the right partner. And I'm like, you guys are never going to be good on the water until you're good off the water. And until you make that relationship and you can trust each other and everything works together, in a partner tournament, you're never going to make it. And that's maybe you guys said you had your epiphany moment and you're about ready to quit and whatever else. But that, I don't know, but there could be a thing in there that was probably it. Your bond got better and you guys are fishing more cohesive together, and you're taking the stress off each other. Maybe one's stressed out, the other one's not. You can bring it down.
Right.
So you basically ended up, you got confidence as a team.
Oh, for sure.
For sure.
And then I would guess the confidence brings peace, and you obviously you've proved that you can fish and that you know how to fish together well. And this is maybe one new stress point. We won the Gov Cup. Now we got to go on to the next thing, and we got to win the next big thing. Or is it like golf? You can't take back the last shot. So let's move on to the next one and not think about it. So do you think about the Gov Cup when you go out to the next tournament, or that trophy's on the shelf? We're not going to worry about that anymore.
Oh, I'm already thinking about the
it's
next
on my
Cup.
mind.
Yeah. I'm already thinking about the next Cup.
Yeah.
Well, I think Chris, at this point, you got to be worried about winning that couples tournament with your wife.
I know.
Yeah, that's true.
No, there's already things that I know we won, but there's still things that Chris and I have talked about that we feel like we missed.
Oh, we made mistakes. We've spent.
It's like I already want to get back out there and go and look at some things.
Yeah, I know we missed some things. I know we made some mistakes. I know we focused really hard this year on pre-fishing efficiency. We fish in our own boats. How are we breaking the lake down? Are we doing it wrong? We've had all these conversations even after winning. And Ben said he didn't sleep very well the night before because a zone of lake we ended up being in, Ben fished and practiced, and he said, I think I missed something.
Yeah. I didn't sleep at all after we won. I thought I'd be, I was excited, of course, had adrenaline and everything, but I was actually more upset that I feel like I missed something in that zone of the lake.
And it wouldn't have changed anything. It wouldn't have changed the outcome. You'd already won.
Right.
But I guess that just goes to show that you guys are competitors and that you're ready for the next tournament. So I think that's, I applaud that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we know that you can fish, and obviously by the trophies hanging on the wall. As I was kind of snooping your Facebook pages, because I thought, well, I want to get to know these guys a little bit better. You guys hunt too. Ben, that's a beautiful elk. My goodness.
Yeah, that was actually my first elk I ever shot.
Really?
In Colorado. So I think that was back in 2013. So
I'd almost have to say you are charmed, because I want to know the story about this ram.
That's actually a desert bighorn sheep in Nevada that a good friend of mine, Adam Roos, shot in 2019. He drew the tag. He had like 20 some years preference, and he's actually a Nevada resident, and invited me to come out for the hunt. And as you see, with everybody that was involved, it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it did. The second I saw it, I was drawn to it instantly, and I didn't know if you shot it or who may have shot it, but it's a gorgeous animal, and to have all of those people around, I think it's truly amazing. And then Chris, you kind of got me here with horseback. Is this in Colorado with your brothers at Miles?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite hunting memories. My brother actually lives in Cody, Wyoming. That was on a high country mule deer hunt, and he had pack horses at that time. And I'm telling you, if you ever have a chance to go on a pack trip, either for high country mule deer and elk, don't pass it up.
It is a lot of fun. I got a chance to do it. We ended up going into the Rabbit Ears Pass area, at 70 degrees, and 3 days into it, it went to 7 below the foot of snow. And it was an eye opener, but it's one of those things I'll never take back. It was an unbelievable experience and a lot of fun. So it's neat to know that you guys are complete outdoorsmen. You hunt and you fish, and I guess one more. You didn't get hit by these monster hailstones, did you?
No, we didn't. Actually, my wife was headed in to take our daughters to swimming lessons, and I said, I don't know if this is $1,000 swimming lesson if we need a deductible on the vehicle tonight. Why don't you just put the car back in the garage?
That is amazing. 4.5-inch hail is what I saw officially. And like you guys, we were talking before, somebody had a stone that was about the size of a muskmelon. That's a big piece of hail.
Absolutely. We are thankful, though, the Pure Air's got some rain the last couple of weeks. It actually looks better now than it did in May. So we're thankful for the rain.
That's fantastic. Well, I'm going to do a quick change here, and we're getting close to wrapping things up. Kurt, you got anything else?
Nope. I want to wish them congratulations again. You guys are the champs. You gotta hold that title for a year, and you gotta defend it again next year. And I'm sure we'll see you all the way along the trail this summer and this next year. And I can't wait to see what you guys bring forward next year at the Gov Cup.
Yeah, us too. We'll see what the future holds. But
awesome.
We're definitely going to cherish this one for a little bit yet before we think about the next one.
Well, good luck to you. Thanks for hanging with us, and congratulations to both of you. What a great win. It was fun to be a part of your win.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it means the world to us.
Awesome. All right. Take care.
You guys.